We know that over 50,000 people die each year from needless exposure to secondhand smoke. The Orange County Health Department, in collaboration with community partners, will work over the next 2 years through the All In project to impact Florida's health by strengthening public policy to reduce tobacco use and secondhand smoke exposure in and around public facilities and workplaces throughout Orange County. Now, do you frequent one of those places and are concerned about not only your health but your family's? Then this is the show for you. Hello and welcome to Healthy Connections. I'm Annetta Wilson, your host. Healthy Connections is a show dedicated to exploring a wide variety of topics from prenatal care to Alzheimer's disease. And we do so with a wide variety of perspectives, from the professionals that help treat the syndromes to everyday people like you and me who may have personal experience dealing with these topics on a first-hand basis. Stay tuned for Healthy Connections. The All In project informs and educates the community on the importance of tobacco-free environments. Let's learn how they do that with our first guest, Dr. Yolanda Martinez with the Orange County Health Department. She heads the Office of Community Health. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
All In, what does that mean?
All In is the name of our campaign. We launched it this year, but the grant came last year through the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Department of Health and Human Services, and it focuses primarily on tobacco prevention, changing our environment, to educate people on the consequences of smoking and exposure to secondhand smoke.
But we're not just talking about smoking when we say tobacco-free. What else comes under that umbrella?
Well, tobacco products encompass a variety of products. It encompasses chewing tobacco, and now there's some new products that also have been developed that are strips that individuals can put in their mouths to avoid smoking, but that contain nicotine and are just as addictive. There are gums, there are a variety of other products that are now in the market that contain tobacco and nicotine, and a lot of them are actually marketed, believe it or not, to children, to addict children to the use of tobacco.
And I'm sure that's a big component of what you're doing to kind of counter that.
It is.
You know, we hear a lot about tobacco-free environments and kind of anti-tobacco campaigns. So are you saying anything new or just saying it in a different way than what we've already heard?
Well, I think traditionally educational campaigns that focus on individuals that smoke do a very good job at educating what are the consequences of smoking. For example, heart disease, cardiovascular disease, etc. We're focusing also on the exposure to the smoke of the tobacco, or what it's called secondhand smoke.
What are the risks of secondhand smoke? Because would it be fair to define that as exposure to smoke when you're not a smoker yourself?
Correct.
Okay.
That's precisely what that means.
And so how bad are the consequences of secondhand smoke?
The consequences of being exposed to secondhand smoke when you're not a smoker are almost as if you were a smoker. Chances for cardiovascular disease increase tremendously. You're also at risk for infections, bronchitis, etc. Children are more susceptible to ear infections, repeated attacks, asthma attacks, bronchitis, and other diseases that are caused through the lung. And also it is linked to sudden infant death syndrome among children.
So are there laws, I mean, and how tough are they, that prohibit smoking in public places?
Well, there are laws. The Florida Clean Indoor Air Act, which was enacted in 2002 with some modifications in 2003, creates smoke-free environments inside workplaces, inside restaurants. However, Florida is one of a handful of states that does not have comprehensive tobacco-free or smoke-free laws. For example, smoking is still allowed in some workplaces. So individuals that are exposed to cigarette smoke, to tobacco smoke, secondhand smoke in their workplaces are at a higher risk, 20 to 30% higher risk of acquiring a cardiovascular disease or lung cancer.
So is that part of the All-In project, to just educate people on that?
It is. It is part of the All-In project, is to create the education. Now, when the funding was received by the CDC and how the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention created the Communities Put in Prevention to Work national campaign, the whole purpose is to create policy, systems, and environmental changes. So going beyond just educating, it's creating an awareness that hopefully, along with our partners, will lead to substantial and long-lasting changes in our community, i.e. policies.
Well, I want to talk about those partners, but there's something else that's interesting about this. You talk about third-hand smoke. I've never heard that before. What is that, and how does that impact people?
Third-hand smoke is a subject that is now being researched more closely by scientists, and it implies, for example, if you have a smoker in a location, let's use, for example, an apartment, a home, the smoke particles, or particulate matter as it's called, adheres to the walls, to the furniture. Several days after the individual has stopped smoking, those concentrated chemicals are multiplied in the way they can affect an individual.
So even if you walk into a room where someone has smoked days ago, you can still be impacted by that.
Correct, by the chemicals, the particulate matter. And it's more impactful. So, for example, if you're a parent and you smoke and all of those chemicals adhere to your clothing, and then you hold your child.
You come home and you pick your child up.
Exactly.
Wow. Your partners, who's helping you get the word out about this?
Well, I have to say on behalf of the Orange County Health Department that we have been very, very fortunate to count with very, very substantial partners in the community, among them a former U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Antonia Novello, who's the chair of our board and is now with Florida Hospital. So Dr. Novello, Florida Hospital, Orlando Health is a partner. Mr. Harris Rosen and Rosen Hotels are a partner in this endeavor. Disney, the Orlando Magic are also partners with the Winter Park Health Foundation, the Healthy Star Coalition.
Couldn't find anybody important to help you out, huh? What kind of advice would you give the audience to help you help All In really be all in?
Right. Well, I think it's important for individuals to understand the real causes and impact of secondhand smoke, not only of smoking. I think a lot of educational commercials have been done about smoking and the impact of smoking, but about the exposure to secondhand smoke and what we as individuals can do to empower ourselves to change our community. So one option could be to go to our webpage, allintoclearair.com, and read what we have to say there and how they can go about being a voice of impact in their community.
Well, Dr. Martinez, thank you for giving us a bigger peek into this project, and good luck with that.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
We will be back right after this. Don't go away.
Ring around the roses, a pocket full of roses, ashes, ashes, we all fall down.
Secondhand smoke contains over 7,000 chemicals, 70 of which can cause cancer. Make our parks, workplaces, and public spaces smoke-free. Visit allintoclearair.com today. Sponsored by the Department of Health and Human Services and All In.
Right now, 26 states around the nation have adopted comprehensive smoke-free laws to safeguard the quality of life for their citizens. However, Florida is not one of them. Our next guest, Jennifer Riesco, will hopefully be able to explain why as we continue to look at the Orange County Health Department's Project All In. That's crazy. Why would Florida be so behind the 8 ball on adopting laws on smoke-free environments. Little editorializing on my part, I admit that.
I think maybe it's the level of awareness perhaps is maybe or was a little low. I think for years, of course, the public has heard that smoking is not good for you. It has health impacts. But I think this new level of awareness now, letting the public know more about secondhand smoke, third-hand smoke, about the ill effects of that, and how this has become such a huge public health issue, and how the repercussions of that issue are not only terrible health-wise, but also in terms of costs and the costs that our healthcare system incurs when people suffer from these chronic diseases as a consequence of the use of products, of tobacco products, or as a consequence of the secondhand smoke from those products.
Now, part of your main role is to market this project and make sure we know what's involved. How are you doing that? And is there a specific segment of the population that you're aiming most of those messages toward?
Well, All In and our project really aims to reach the general public, everyone, of course adults 18 and up, but children as well. We have a major part of our component is working with the schools to educate our children, and through the children, our parents, about the consequences of the use of the tobacco products. We have advertising, of course, in general through all our main outlets. We have a educational media campaign that was developed. It's called allintoclearair.com is our website, our URL.
So allintoclearair.com.
Okay. Correct. This campaign, you may have seen some of the ads on television. We have television, radio, internet, billboards, bus shelters.
Well, tell us about them.
Kings.
What would we have noticed?
The campaign is created around the central idea of a gas mask. And the idea behind the gas mask is that if residents of Orange County were aware of the ill effects of secondhand smoke and the use of these tobacco products, that they would walk around wearing a gas mask to protect themselves from them.
Wow.
So it's, illustration-wise, it's a very edgy look. We wanted to do something a little different than the traditional advertising and education that's been done before in regards to tobacco. It's also a very monochromatic look. You can find us, like I said, on billboards and the buskings. And the central theme of our spots is around children and children in public spaces such as parks.
Dr. Martinez mentioned third-hand smoke, and that is still just blowing my mind that someone can have smoked in an environment and or smoked somewhere else and come into an environment and leave residue of the chemicals from the smoke in that place.
Correct.
How strong is that message being communicated? Because we hear a lot about secondhand smoke.
Well, we mostly do speak of secondhand smoke because of how much more prevalent it is and the low level of awareness that there is in terms of the actual stretch of the effect of secondhand smoke. But in our website at allintoclearair.com, we do have a resource page and an information page that goes in to provide information from the Center for Disease Control, the American Lung Association, and other World Health Organization that has statistics and scientific facts that prove the exact health effects of the third-hand smoke.
So let's say your campaign is wildly successful and you've got people who want to quit. How do you help them do that? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
Absolutely not. We understand that it's an addictive behavior and it's a difficult thing to accomplish once a smoker has been smoking for a while. So we do have the support service for them. We offer help through the Florida Quit Line, through logging onto our website. They can access the Florida Quit Line either via online or through the 1-800 number and reach a quit coach. The quit coach will work with the individual at no cost so that they can establish a quit plan that's tailored to that person.
Okay.
And then they also will provide them, if they agree that that is necessary, with nicotine replacement therapy at no cost.
If someone's been smoking for years and they say, well, it's too late, what do you say to that?
It's never too late.
Okay.
Every cigarette makes an effect, creates a consequence. So it's absolutely never too late.
So it doesn't matter how long you've been smoking, stopping now.
Stopping now can improve your health.
And for parents, what advice would you give them, parents who smoke?
I think, well, first of all, parents as role models should be careful of the habits they carry around their children. just for the role model purpose alone, but beside that, one step further, realize that you put your seatbelt on your child when you're in the car. You put them in a car seat, you get them a bike helmet, you don't leave them outside alone for strangers, but you're smoking in front of them. You're really doing one of the worst things you can do, and maybe it's lack of information. But I would ask parents to please inform themselves of the ill effects of smoking around their children.
And even if, what we're hearing now, even if you don't smoke around your children, the residue from the smoke can get on your clothing, then you pick your kids up, you hug your kids.
Correct.
So you're making them little smokers without even realizing it. So again, we want to make sure you have the information for the website, allintocleanair.com.
Clear.
Clear Air. Thank you.
Allintoclearair.com.
Allintoclearair.com, Project All In. Jennifer, thank you for educating us about that and for the campaign in general. If we just stop one person from smoking, I think
we could
it's
say
a win.
We've been successful. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. We will be right back. Don't go away.
Secondhand smoke contains over 7,000 chemicals, 70 of which can cause cancer. Make our parks, workplaces, and public spaces smoke-free. Sponsored by the Department of Health and Human Services and All In.
We've all heard the stories about how bad smoking is for you. Well, we just learned a little bit more about the dangers of secondhand smoke and now third-hand smoke. There's a move afoot to stop tobacco use so we can all stay healthier. So be on the lookout for the All In project and then decide if you're all in making yourself and your family more healthy. I'm Annetta Wilson. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Healthy Connections.